April 15th, 1912. 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's how long it took the unsinkable ship to die. 1,517 people went down with her. Most of them are still there, 2.5 miles under the North Atlantic. Some say the dead don't rest easy down there. Fittings pulled from her sister ship ended up in hotels and pubs. In staircases, people swear they'd heard footsteps on when no one else is in the building. But there's a fight happening above the water too, because when a diving expedition went down to see the wreck for themselves in 2023, it never came back up. The question remains, is the Titanic a museum, or is it a grave? I'm Jamie, this is Beyond Haunted UK, and tonight I'll take you down to one of the most infamous ships in the world. This is the Titanic. 2.5 miles down, there's no light and no sound except the groan of a hull that's been dying slowly for over a century. And that's where I'm taking you tonight. Now you know the story, everybody knows the story. It was the unsinkable ship, the iceberg, and the band playing as the deck tilted. It's been turned into a film, a musical, and 1,000 documentaries. But somewhere along the way, I think we stopped treating it like what it actually was. It was a crime scene, a major tragedy, and also a grave. 1,500 people never made it home that night. Mothers, sons, stewards, stokers, and even a bride on her way to a new life. And most of them are still down there, 2.5 miles beneath the North Atlantic. Not just lost, but remembered. Only about a third of the bodies were ever recovered. The rest went down with the ship or were lost to the sea entirely. Which means when Robert Ballard's team found the wreck in 1985, lying in 2 pieces on the ocean floor, they weren't just finding a ship, they were finding a tomb. Now I want to start with the ghost stories because let's be honest, that's what you're all here for, and there are some good ones. The Titanic's sister ship, the Olympic, was scrapped in the 1930s, but instead of destroying everything, salvagers sold off huge amounts of her fittings, panelling, staircases, fireplaces, all to hotels and businesses across Britain. The White Swan Hotel in Alnwick bought the first-class staircase and lounge panelling. Staff and guests have reported cold spots on that staircase for decades, and footsteps with no one on them. And even a white woman glimpsed at the top of the stairs gone before anyone can look twice. But when you explore these, here's the one thing that gets me though. That's the Olympic, not the Titanic. The actual Titanic never came home. There was no salvage sale, no staircase in a hotel lobby. Every fitting, every deck chair, every locked cabin door, it's all still down there, sitting in the dark, exactly where it settled in 1912. Which raises a question I don't think gets asked enough. If people believe the Olympic staircase is haunted, what does that mean for the ship that actually has bodies in it? Because that's not a metaphor. There are human remains still inside that wreck. Shoes paired together on the ocean floor are one of the most quietly devastating things divers have documented. Leather survives underwater long after the person wearing it doesn't. Just a quick reminder, you're listening to Beyond Haunted UK. I'm Jamie, and if you're enjoying the show, please follow wherever you listen. It generally does help. So here's where the ghost story becomes something else. It becomes a legal fight. The wreck sits in international waters, which for a long time meant nobody really owned it. A company called RMS Titanic Inc. was granted sovereign possession rights by a US court in the 1990s, meaning they, and only they, could recover artifacts from the site. Since then, they've brought up thousands of items: dishware, jewellery, a ship's whistle, even controversially a wireless telegraph. The actual Marconi radio equipment used to send the Titanic's distress calls, which they fought a legal battle to cut out of the wreck in 2020, over objections from a US government who argued the wreck should be treated as a war grave-style memorial site, undisturbed. Now, families of victims have spoken out against this for years, and their argument is simple. You wouldn't excavate a war cemetery and put the contents in a touring exhibition, so why would this be any different? The counter-argument is also simple. If nobody recovers this material, the wreck is disintegrating. Metal-eating bacteria are consuming the hull, and some researchers even believe the ship could collapse into an unrecognisable rust stain within a few decades. Once that happens, everything is generally lost. To history, and to the families who might otherwise be able to see it. Now, in my opinion, there's no clean answer here. You've got preservation versus disturbance, memorial versus museum, and I don't really think either side is wrong exactly. I think they're both responding to grief in different ways. And then, in June 2023, that whole conflict got a horrifying new chapter. A submersible called Titan, operated by a company called OceanGate, was descending toward the wreck carrying 5 people who'd paid to see it firsthand. It imploded. Everyone aboard was killed instantly. Suddenly the debate wasn't abstract anymore. People were dying near the Titanic again. Tourists this time are not passengers, and a lot of commentators pointed out something uncomfortable. That turning a mass grave into a bucket list destination for wealthy adventurers was maybe always going to end badly. But for me, I've seen all the documentaries, I've read all the books. I keep coming back to those paired shoes on the sea floor. Somebody wore those. Somebody had a name, a family, and a reason to be on that ship. And whether or not you believe of anything that lingers down there, whether it be a presence, an energy, or whatever you want to call it, I think the respect owed to them isn't really a paranormal question at all. It's actually a human one. And that's where I'll leave this episode for tonight. You've had ghosts in a hotel staircase 200 miles from the wreck, a radio that once cried for help now sitting in a museum case, and a fight still ongoing over what we owe to the dead that we can't quite let go of. If this episode got under your skin a little, then please follow the show. It does cost nothing and it does help more than you think. I'm Jamie, this is Beyond Haunted UK, and until next time, mind how you go.